Well, it's Monday, so it must be marijuana time. The never-ending battle between the city and those who run medical marijuana dispensaries continues. City contends the dispensaries are required to be not-for-profit collectives. You get a license. You're allowed to grow it and can only make as much money as needed to maintain the business. You cannot show a profit. There are over 1,000 dispensaries in Los Angeles, so the city believes people are making a profit. This is big business. City Council discussed it today.
In terms of sales, there's nothing in the law that allows for sales. This cannot be for profit.
Our contributors tonight, Doctor of Social Ethics Charlotte Laws and Emmy Award-winning journalist David Reese. And David, I'm going to start with you. People are definitely making money. You're on the clock. What did the city expect?
Well, this is a perfect example of the law of unintended consequences. California voters approved medical marijuana, but they didn't approve any way of how it's actually supposed to work. And, you know, hats off to our city council who can't make anything work. And they haven't figured out how to make this work. They've been ignoring their own rules on this. They've been granting business licenses willy-nilly to these dispensaries. If you walk down the street in Studio City, it smells like marijuana. That's how many dispensaries there are. So the whole thing is clearly out of control. And the issue here is how exactly is this law going to be interpreted, and how is that going to be put into business practice? I mean, you're not supposed to be making money off this, but do you think every person who goes to one of these dispensaries wants to actually have to help grow it? No, I don't think so. You know, but if you're not supposed to make a profit, how are you supposed to run a business?
Well, right. That's my point. I had a conversation with Dennis Zine, Charlotte, and I asked him the same question. If you're running a business, if you can't make a profit, then why are you in business? None of this makes any sense.
Well, I think that you can run these dispensaries as nonprofits. And when you have a nonprofit, you have, for example, an executive director, you have employees, and they're getting paid. And then people have incentive to keep that dispensary going. And if there's additional money in the till, then that can go towards the nonprofit in the future. So that's what I would do. I pretty much approve of what the city council did today. I was against what the city attorney wanted to do, which basically is to go after these dispensaries and just willy-nilly close them down and prosecute the individuals involved with them. I think that we should give the people at the dispensaries a chance to turn them into nonprofits. I think that they had implicit approval from the city, if not outright approval. And I think they should be given a chance to turn them into 501c3s and put everything in place. And I like some of the ideas that West Hollywood has with regards to having security guards on the premises paid for by the dispensaries, that kind of thing.
All right, David, you want the final word on this?
Well, I think Charlotte's ideas are great, but I just think in practice, I'd like to see that actually come down and actually work. Okay. You know, we're talking about a bunch of potheads here.
Well, when you look at it like that, okay. At a time when the city is cutting back, when people are being laid off, and in some cases they are losing their jobs, should it pay $3.4 million for a funeral? Those are the final costs for Michael Jackson's funeral. Originally believed to be $1.4 million, it came out to $3.4 million. What does this matter? According to estimates, business in the city made about $4 million because hotels, taxi, and tour services saw an increase in revenue. Should the city be reimbursed by the Jackson estate or AEG for the funeral, Charlotte?
Well, when this issue was brought up months ago, I actually agreed with the mayor that the city should pick up the tab. And I still feel that way, that it's the city's responsibility to pay for police protection and cleanup and traffic-related issues with regards to an event. So I think it's fine if you want to nicely ask AEG if they'd like to donate some money, but to really try to twist their arm, I don't agree with that.
But AEG has profited from this. AEG actually threw this event, and it was not a public event. Someone lost their life, someone died. It's a private moment. If one of us lost our life, would the city of Los Angeles pay for our funeral? Would we have it at Staples Center? No, absolutely not.
I don't think that just because they made a profit, I don't think they're responsible for paying money to us. I think if we were to have any sort of an event, if we had a pancake breakfast at the park and more people showed up than we expected, the city has to pick up the tab for that. I think it's unfair to try to force them legally to pay more. I think we'd have a lawsuit from them against the city if we were to try to force them legally. So I just don't think it's a very good idea. And I believe the city put some ordinance in place after the fact that said that special offense were treated a different way and that some of the tab would be picked up by those having the special events, but it's not retroactive. So it does not apply to this particular case. Therefore, we cannot force AEG to pay that tab.
David?
Totally disagree with you, Charlotte. Love you, but you're wrong. And here's why. Here's why. Number one, if I die and I want to have a police escort and close down a bunch of freeways, I have to pay for that. Go to the mortuary, ask them about a police escort. That costs money. I'd have to pay for it. You'd have to pay for it. How come they didn't have to pay for it? And number two, and here's my big bone of contention with this whole thing, is that as a media organization, Channel 4, where I work, had to pay to be on a public street. That's a public street. We had to pay AEG for this. I think it's time AEG coughs up some of those profits.
If you're so smart, prove it. Contact NBC Filter on Twitter or Facebook, or send an email to thefilter@nbcuni.com. We care what you think, but if we don't like it, we'll filter you.